Now, we all know your council and all the other councils around the country doing such a great job that you should be giving them more money. And not just more money, how about nearly 100% more than you're currently giving them? I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true, because in Victoria and New South Wales there is a rates cap. So the state government basically tells councils by how much they are allowed to jack up your council rates every year. But a number of councils around New South Wales have been applying to the state government to increase their rates beyond this rate cap. And the state government has just rolled over and said, sure, you can go and do it. Here's a few examples. Strathfield Council in Sydney has been told they can jack up your rates by up to 98.2% over 4 years. Nearly 100% in 4 years. How extraordinary. Queanbeyan Council, 64%. Armidale, 58%. Walcher, 57%. All of this over 3 or 4 years, and you might be scratching your head going, well, I mean, they haven't filled any potholes at the end of the street, the library's in disrepair, the pool hasn't been heated for 5 years. Why on earth would I want to be giving more money to the council? Well, the answer is simple. They're all out advocating for the voice. I mean, this stuff doesn't come cheap. Lane Cove Council, for instance, again in Sydney, just a few weeks ago, decided that they were going to formally support the voice to Parliament, and for that, they're spending $6,000 to put on workshops and all other kinds of promotional material. You've got councils over in WA are now looking at their sister city relationships, for instance, and going, hang on a minute, all the money we're spending here to have these quote-unquote relationships with these cities overseas, God knows what they do, perhaps we should save some money on that. But no, other councils want more of your money to keep doing whatever the hell it is they're doing. I mean, 98%. How do you justify increasing your rates by 98%? You cannot tell me that emptying bins or filling in potholes or, maintaining the library or the core jobs of councils, the cost of doing that has not gone up by 100% in any time
And we're
recently.
supposed to believe that they're doing this because they're fighting for financial survival. That's straight out of this article today. They're fighting out it. You can just see them with their pennies, and have enough. Do me a favour. It was last week, Mitcham Council in South Australia, your patch, Caleb, spent $40,000 they've committed to their Yes campaign, because, that's totally within the remit of local council. Then we had last month Sydney Council cancelling their $200,000 trip to Europe. It was a research trip. It was study.
I think it was,
and of course, they only cancelled it because they got sprung and people were up in arms. Then, of course, there was Marybeck Council, used to be Moreland, in Victoria, also just last month. Their rebrand to Marybeck, just a lovely virtue signalling exercise, $500,000. None of this is what the ratepayer gives you their money for. But they are fighting for financial survival, you guys.
So they're claiming, labour shortages and construction costs have all gone up, and you could feel some sympathy if it wasn't for all the examples you've given. I mean, take Sydney City, for example. I mean, they spent over $100,000 on a gay rainbow crossing for World Pride, and at the same time, residents were waiting weeks to get their bins emptied. So when you said, how can it cost this much to empty bins, they're not even doing that.
No.
But
the proof's in the pudding.
Every time you mention Marybeck, I have to bring up the fact that when it was renamed Marybeck, I was in Melbourne at the time. So I was at the Herald Sun. So we went to a local Aboriginal elder and said, what does Marybeck actually mean? And he said, nothing. It's not actually a word in the language. They have literally just made it up. So they did the virtue signalling. They paid their $500,000 to get rid of Moreland because Mr. Moreland was a slave owner or whatever the deal was. And they've named it an Aboriginal name that doesn't even exist. How good's that?
Local councillors have got to be careful.
$500,000 for that.
Local councillors have got to be careful here because they're going to do themselves out of a job, because when you read the comments in some of the articles about council wastage, people are furious and they're saying, well, why do we even have local government? Get rid of them. Let state government take of these things. And so councils want to be careful with it.
Or at the very least, amalgamate them. But we've tried and failed at that, haven't we?